Alright boys, how was all done?
Yeah, good man.
Aye, all good.
Good man.
Good. And like, what is it, the Hindenburg? Is that what it was? Is that a big thing that went on fire and crashed to the ground?
Yes.
There we go. And like that, my enthusiasm for the season has died. We are 3 games in. Welcome back to the joyous and upbeat This Is My Story podcast. Oh my god. Yeah, it's like Christmas, innit? You get absolutely hyped up, thinking it's going to be the greatest thing ever. And after 15 minutes, you think, fuck, why did we forget that this is what it was like?
I think it took me about 5 minutes
Really?
on Sunday afternoon, sitting next to Kev and Shanks, to think, you know what, this has been hyped up. I'm fucking hating it already. It's just, but we'll cover it.
Don't worry, Tam. You can tell us what a great day you had and how much you loved it, and you loved being back, and you can tell us about the curry you had for the curry shed and all that.
I'll send you the photos. Don't worry.
They're on Instagram anyway. It's fine. Don't worry. So obviously, as I said, welcome back to This Is My Story podcast, your unofficial Hearts podcast. All of our opinions are our own and always total nonsense. So, Ando, how's your week been?
Been no bad. I enjoyed getting up to the game on Sunday. I didn't enjoy the result, but enjoyed the wee soiree we had before it.
Everything that went before it was class, wasn't it?
Exactly. Bevying on the train up with a random stranger, going to the pub with, well, I'm going to make a Hindenburg analogy again here, with a big bag of gas that caught fire. So thanks for joining me in the pub, Kev. That was great fun. Then obviously meeting the resties before the match and during. It was good laugh. Got the flag out, which was good. We'd probably cover that at some stage as well. The only thing that was shite was the result, but apart from that, it's all good.
Yep. Kev, how's your week been?
Well, it was all right until Ando's effectively just slayed the few beers before the game, just him and I, and the games afterwards. So, what I thought was actually a half decent start to the week has just been shot all over. So thanks, Ando.
Kev, didn't be like that. I was just trying to be funny, right?
And then Tam, what about you? You must have loved it, man. What could you not love about Sunday?
Got a wee day out. Sun was shining.
Aye. Couple of free beers, free ticket to the game.
Oh,
brilliant,
everything
man.
was great. Aye. We'll come on to it. To be fair, I'm not that happy clapping this week.
So
I'm just glad to be fully 5G compatible now.
You've had both your vaccines. So anybody sitting next to you at Tynecastle can share your personal hotspot.
Exactly.
Just
ask me for the password.
Wi-Fi password is Craig Levine.
Aye. You can get your Wi-Fi passwords sorted if you sit next to Tam. Obviously, Shanks has not made it back for Sunday, so I think that tells you everything that you need to know about how he enjoyed Sunday. And Brad's I think he's still on the injury table, isn't he? He's the new John Suter. John Suter's fully fit, and Brad's just took his place. He's been sidelined for about a month.
We've got people searching outside of Europe for him now. He's been gone that long. It's 4 or 5 weeks without Brad's. I'm sure we'll find him somewhere shortly.
To be fair, I don't know if it's any coincidence that he predicted we would sign Cameron Devlin, and he's been about as long to get here as it has for us to get Brad's on the podcast. So I never know.
That's what I was going to say. He's away on a scouting mission somewhere. He must be like.
So as always, this week we'll look over Aberdeen. We'll preview Dundee United. We'll dive into some of the headlines of the week, discuss what it was like genuinely to be back into the stadium on Sunday, full house atmosphere, all that sort of stuff. Bit on the fantasy football and predictor. We'll go over that. We'll give you the answers to last week's Shanks McCann Remember, and we'll give you this week's Shanks McCann Remembers. Thanks to everybody for playing along and getting in contact with us. You can obviously get in contact with us on Twitter. You can catch us at This My Story Pod, admin at thismystory.uk for the website, and This Is My Story 1874 on Instagram. So, Ando, I'll come to you first. What's happening, or how is it looking for the predictor this week? What was the movements?
So we've still got Court at the top, joint top, just on alphabetical difference, with Jay Walcott 94, both on 14 points, and then sneaking in somehow, and I don't know how he's managed it, but Brad's is now top of the show host table on 13 points and is 4th overall in the competition. So Brad's might have went missing, not putting any effort into the podcast at all, but he is definitely doing his revision on Hearts and their
He
form.
must have had a draw and boys to score.
Must have done.
That's my prediction.
I didn't go in and check and see what he actually had, but aye, he's probably had that. You, Corbett, are still in 10th place overall, second in the host league. Ando, Kevin, Tam, all separated by 2 points, and Shanks still on a massive 0, which I find incredible after however many weeks we've been playing this. Round 4, I think we're on. In fact, yeah, we are on
Well,
round
it's
4.
not that incredible
0.
when you look back to when we predicted how the season would go. I'm sure he said that we would only have like 3 points from the opening 5 games or something like that.
Aye, but then we balance that with the fact that he won the predictor overall last year. He was the highest placed. I don't know how he's done it. And he can't hack this. He doesn't have the knowledge. But aye, that's where we're at. Fantasy football. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, was this the season that he predicted Paul Hartley was going to be the manager of Hearts? the current manager of Cove Rangers was going to be the Hearts manager come the end of the season.
I did see he was in the stand on Sunday, though. So
he was, he was.
Their season predictions, he got nothing. 0 points for that. But the predicting of the scores last year, then he got that all right. But it probably just coincides with Shanks's negativity was being matched by our performances eventually. So that's probably what it is. If he keeps predicting we'll be shite, I'm sure that these results will come to fruition for him probably by the end of September. Aye.
True. And then what's happening fantasy football wise? We get any?
I'm not gonna lie, I've not looked at it.
Corbett's sitting 5th.
Is it?
I noticed it earlier. I've used my wild card already and changed my whole team because I had enough of all of them.
I'm almost certain I'm 3rd as well, so I don't think I'm a disservice, but it's fine. We'll move on. It's not that I'm keeping score or whatever. It's all right.
I think I've just looked there now. I'm 206th, so I'm completely out of the running. 206 out of a league of about 400 folks, so I'm shit.
I think you're doing better than me.
Cool. Right. Well, let's move on to the Shanks McCann remember, since he's not here. Ando, he gave you the instructions as to what the hell those were last week. Somebody on Twitter was guessing Osasuna in 2006, and I'm like, surely it can't be that, because one, I don't think he would even be able to say the word Osasuna, let alone be at the game, so God knows.
Well, he's given me a summary of the clues again and the dates and results. So I think the first one he done was I'll just summarise them. A minute silence for Wallace. Lily burst her bubble of welcoming back a former hero in the 23rd minute, and the dish fed in Danny soon after with the only goal of the game. It was a 1-0 victory for Kilmarnock at their bit in January 2006. I can't remember that. I don't think anybody's going to remember that. The second one was
welcoming back a hero in the 23rd minute.
No idea. I don't think Shanks has ever been to Kilmarnock either.
Oh, actually, it was Neil McCann returning. Because I think Neil McCann's first game back when he signed for Hearts would have been an away game to Kilmarnock or something, I'm sure.
It could have been. We'll ask him next week when he's back. Match number 2. Avoiding line-out potholes, whatever the hell that means. Jules ran the show. It was a 2-0 victory. And the Tomato Chuckers went home looking like dafties. And it was Hearts versus Osasuna in July 2006. It was a 2-0 victory.
Are all these games 2006?
No.
He's been reading his diary. He went to his man dad's house, went up the loft and got his diary out.
Possibly. But that is the Osasuna game, so well done to whoever predicted that.
Tomato Chuckers?
Well, they've got a tomato festival thing where it's like the Pamplona Bull Run, but some bizarre thing that Spanish guys do, and they just go get hundreds of tomatoes and just welly them off each other. It's mental. You'll Google it, you'll find it.
Seems borderline offensive, but let's move on.
The final one is I don't know if he's maybe just rolled his head along the keyboard to type this, but it makes no sense at all. Get a haircut, push them 1-0 up, whatever that means. The wank levelled. Ah, okay. The wank levelled, and then finally the Beast got booked for cupping his balls at the away support, then bulleted in a winning header in the 76th minute to secure all 3 points. It was a 2-1 victory. Hearts versus Celtic, September 2009.
And Boozie'd scored. That's the 900th appearance of that story,
Oh, in fact, you called that out last week, didn't you?
innit?
This is the 15th iteration of a boozied story on this pod. So well done, Shanks.
The only games he knows.
Aye, and
That's probably why he's patched it.
aye. Shanks, unfortunately, as you've said, can't be with us tonight, but he's sent Kev one Shanks McCann. So I'll hand over to Kev, and I think Corbett, you've got another one you want to do as well. So over to you, Kev, for the next one.
Aye, I've been reading it and trying to work out what the hell he's going on about, but as we've already realised and we already know, trying to get inside Shanks' head is 10 times harder than trying to get inside Corbett's.
Is it from 2009?
He's not given us the year. However, let's see where we get where.
Right, let's go.
The Czechs couldn't get past the waistcoat. Thought it was all over when my favourite player fouled the ex-Valencia man in the box with less than 15 to go. Their 8 million summer superstar banged it in. Thankfully, Mr. Reliable levelled us up for an impressive draw. So, I think I know it, but we'll leave that to all the listeners.
Yeah. I think I know it as well. There we go. Right, and then here's my Shanks effort from it. This will be an easy one for you, right? He's ready?
Go.
McFreezen shanked it. Matalan suit shat it. Lucky to get a draw. Matalan tried to batter the Lego eater. There you go.
Class.
I wish I couldn't remember that one, to be fair.
Answers on a postcard.
That's
Time for a word from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Bike Speed UK. Any Jambo using the promo code This Is My Story will get 10% off at checkout.
For every biker's every need, think Bike Speed UK. From motorcycle parts and accessories to the best biker wear. Think bike, think Bike Speed UK.
Right, cool. So this week's headlines, dive into some of the stuff that's been happening in the week of Hearts. So Woodburn is now official, signed on a season-long loan deal, which is great because I know that when we first had this sort of bandied about that it was only up until January. So seems like a really positive signing, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I've had a message from a Celtic mate who said absolutely he knows quite a lot about English football, like proper in depth. He said this guy's an absolute coup for yous. Don't know how yous have managed him. He said I would take him at Celtic. I'm like, all right, fair enough. That's a glowing endorsement from one of that mob. So and if he's come out and said that, then I definitely approve. Having not seen a single minute of him yet, I'm excited.
Anybody else absolutely devastated they took the number 9? Because that just seems to be an absolute killer for us, doesn't it?
I should have just retired it. Like,
I don't know why. But as soon as I seen the 9, I thought, oh no, don't do it to yourself.
He doesn't even play like a number 9, really, either, does he? But
no, but does anybody in 2021 nowadays? There's no such thing as a modern 9 in it. Is that where you think he'll play? Do you think we should change shape? Go to the 4-2-3-1. Ginelli, Woodburn, and GMS, or Ginelli, Boyce, GMS, and Woodburn through the middle?
I think he'll probably still tinker between the two, to be honest with you. The best thing for me about this signing is, you seen on Sunday there, when we went to the bench, there wasn't very many options. So just to have a good quality option coming in, hopefully he'll push the rest of the players on in a bit in the attacking third. So if he can play anywhere in the top front three or in the 10 role, whatever, I'd be happy if he does it well, to be fair. But for the fact that he's going to hopefully push on the other players in there, that would be good for me.
Right. And it does seem, Kev, doesn't it? It does seem like a sort of cut above the normal. I know some had to laugh. Someone did a Premier League starting 11 that we've had, and the impressive names or the impressive teams that we've had loan players from, like Man United, Man City, Liverpool, all that sort of stuff. But this one does seem like a cut above, doesn't it? It does seem better than a just bog standard loan.
It sure does. I also reached out to a mate of mine who's a season ticket holder at Anfield. He said he was a really good talent, sharp with and good with the ball at his feet. So he's got no chance of actually getting any better from the way in which we play football. He does say it could be a great addition to your team for sure. I'm interested to see how it will work from the point of view of formation. Do we go 3-4 and then maybe him as a 1 and then GMS and Boyce, or a Janelli and Boyce, or Janelli and GMS if for any reason that Boyce is injured or whatever. It's just going to be interesting to see how he actually comes into the team and where he actually sits as part of that setup. I don't think he's strong enough to actually be up front with Boyce as part of a 2. And he doesn't look like he's the kind of player, from what I've seen of little clips here, there, and everywhere, that he's the kind of guy that's going to sit in a midfield 4 and pull strings. So it's going to be interesting to see where he actually lines up in an actual formation. And only time will tell. But it's definitely, it shows the input that Savage has had, and it's shown fingers crossed anyway, it's shown the kind of aim that the club have of who they want to actually bring in moving on from now.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll touch on it probably more in the Aberdeen review that we've just mentioned, a couple of different shapes and all that sort of stuff. I'm at the stage now after watching Sunday and knowing what we've been like over the course of the time under Levine and under Robbie and stuff. We can play any formation. It's the tactics that will bring the best out in these players that we have, because I've said it 100 times. Every Hearts fan listening to this will have said it 100 times. On paper, we have a very good squad, a very, very good squad, and we need the tactics to be better to get those players in the get the best out of them, because as it stands right now, we probably aren't. Ando?
Well, a mate of mine watched the Joe Savage interview, and he messaged me the other day. Going back to a point that was made by Savage in his interview, which is remember when he said that he had a wow signing, and that someone that the fan base would be super happy with. Do we think that's him? Because he's asked me the question. Like, obviously, I've deferred and said, I don't know, I'll ask Corbett, he's the media darling, he knows everything. But and that's another shot in the This Is My Story drinking game. But
yeah.
The short answer is I don't know, and it wasn't until he answered the question. We don't know any more than anyone else. But do you think that this might be the wow signing that he was talking about in his interview? Because it kind of fits the bill, doesn't it? Coming from a Premiership or an English Premier League team.
Benny would be my shout, and it's more of a coup because we've actually managed to sign Benny, and having seen him play 3 games in this league.
Fair point. Yeah.
I'm almost certain that he'll make his money. Like,
what did we pay 50 grand, which is ridiculous.
Or something. Yeah, do you know what I mean? He's our player now, and I think after we will come on to Aberdeen, we'll talk about the positives for the game and stuff like that. I think he's been phenomenal. He just looks a class above every single time I've seen him. So that'd be good. I would imagine that that's the wow signing. This is a wow signing as well, but the fact that it took Liverpool so long to agree to release him, it makes me think that it's potentially just surfaced, because I doubt that they would have been hanging around and potentially wanting to keep him for matches at the weekend or potential European games and stuff if this had been in the pipeline for a while, if you know what I mean.
I think maybe, true. Because you've got Klopp, maybe he's wanting to assess his squad, because obviously when's the transfer deadline? It's about a week away, there or thereabouts. So they'll probably know what irons they have in the fire and whether they need to keep a hold of him as a squad player or not. But they've obviously decided, nah, it's fine, you can let him go. But if they're willing to let him go on loan for a season, am I right in saying that he's out of contract with Liverpool at the end of the season?
From the end of it, yeah.
Yeah. So if he comes to us, plays out his skin, there's no way we'll be able to keep a hold of him, I wouldn't imagine. But is again, more impetus for him to do well.
100%. I think that's what we're going to say, and Kevin probably going to say similar, is the fact that plays into our hands. It's different from a Machino or a Randall or an Ngu or somebody that was stagnating in reserves, couldn't get a game and was just papped out to save them sitting on the bench. this guy's literally has now a year to prove that he's worth a contract somewhere, and it's probably not going to be Hearts with the pedigree, and if he comes up here and absolutely smashes it, then it absolutely won't be. But again, there's different ways of bringing players in on loan, and I like the way that we seem to have brought in Woodburn with the idea that actually, well, now you've got a year, lad, go prove yourself. Do you know what I mean? Which is fine. Which brings us on to the fact that, they're now saying that Robbie has confirmed that Cameron Devlin has signed for Hearts. So it's now just a case of getting him to the UK, getting him through whatever COVID protocols need to happen, his visa sorted and all that sort of stuff, because something that no one talks about in football, but it's been highlighted over the last couple of weeks now, the absolute mental stuff that Brexit has done to being able to sign players and get players into countries and get visas and all that sort of stuff has had a massive impact in transfers across Europe. I know he's coming from Australia, but it's still the same idea. So hopefully for probably the Hibs game, we're going to have him involved. And again, before we don't have to dive into it heavily, it is something, if you were to pull out positions that we need to strengthen after what we've seen so far in the season, and Sunday in particular, a box-to-box midfielder looks like the type of guy that we are crying out for in it, because we've got Benny in there that breaks up play, wins the ball back, but he only wants to just move the ball on. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's done. He's there to get it back, move it on quickly. We need somebody that can then drive the team forward and drive into space, drive into areas and all that sort of stuff, and we just don't have that just now.
Well, it's interesting you say we don't have that, because that was the strapline that was attached to McAneff when he joined. Remember, he was badged as a box-to-box midfielder, and sadly to say we've not seen it from him right enough. But
if he's playing left wing,
when
he comes on, it's no ideal, is it?
We'll talk about that when we talk about Sunday as well. Other headlines: Ando seems to be in that much of a massive huff that he's signing football players for us. He must absolutely hate his time at Hearts. But where is he? Actually in France isolating? Is that where he is, or is he just here isolating?
No idea.
Anyway. That doesn't really make sense, to be fair.
I only caught a bit of this because Brad's put something in the group chat, but it was done quite short notice before we started rolling the tapes on this. So I was going to ask you guys. Hopefully, you knew the full sketch of that, but.
Well, basically, it looks like there's Taylor Moore that plays. Is it Bristol City? Is it currently? He's a right back, I believe. Is he? Or sorry,
right back, centre half.
Right. Aye, basically that we seem to be interested in. There's a whole host of clubs that are interested in getting him. And Nando kind of tagged him in a song or something on his Instagram. They used to play with each other at Blackpool and kind of said about put Edinburgh in it and all that sort of stuff. So. Everybody in the world of Hearts has decided that Taylor Moore is coming to sign for the Gorgie. So
has Barry Anderson picked it up yet?
I know yet, but I'm sure the man that he is, that'll be front news. It'll be his number one sports story in the morning, and it'll turn out to be equally as nonsense as the last one that he stole from Twitter and put in his paper. I'm assuming that none of us have any information on how good a football player Taylor Moore is.
No, absolutely zip.
This is where we need Shanks in it. He would know.
Oh, aye. Oh,
Shanks or Brad.
He'd storm off raging that we don't need any more holding midfielders. Even though we've told him 5 times he's a right back or a centre half, he'd be absolutely livid. For anybody that listened last week will remember that when we told him that Ben Woodburn played either wide through the middle or as a striker, and Shanks went on for 25 minutes about why we do not need another sitting midfielder. That's it. Whatever, mate. No problem. So you'll just have to wait and see movement on that. Hopefully we can talk about it. But it is an area of the park I think we need to strengthen, because Michael Smith, as consistent and as great and as much as we love Michael Smith, he's not a right wing back. And to be honest, they're in that territory now where he's not excelling in either. He's not excelling in the defensive side of it, and he's not excelling in the going forward side of it. It's like, well, is it better just to play him where he actually plays? This whole square peg round hole stuff that will plagues Hearts over the years, but we'll come into that when we talk about Aberdeen. Last one, really. what's it, Tuesday today, Scotland squad was announced. John Souttar is hysterically not involved. Great for us, because I wouldn't want him to touch that shitty stick with a barge pole, because keep him away from there. But the guy's caviar. He's by far the best defender in Scotland. It does seem crazy that Jack Hendry and Grant Hanley and other absolute cabbages get picked.
I didn't know that the Scotland squad was announced because I don't follow any of that stuff. But now that you've said that Souttar isn't in it, and like an idiot like Grant Hanley is in there, that it just makes a mockery of the whole thing. Sod off, Scotland. I'm done.
And that made up that Hanley's in it. He's the only other
Grant
Scotland
Hanley
player.
isn't.
Oh, there you go.
Fair
Fantastic.
enough.
I'm not going to go all Scotland loving on you, but Grant Hanley was actually all right the last.
See, this was the whole part of my plan. All I wanted to do was tee up Tam to get a reaction about his beloved Scotland, and I got it. Look at him. Look. Tell us how good Kevin Nisbet is. Come on, tell us.
I just think that
Super John McGinn.
He will.
You just don't understand. We've got McGinn. Come on, Tam. Get the boys going. What about David Gray? What about David Gray at Hibs? He's brilliant and all, isn't he? You love him and all.
Porteous.
Porteous. He should have been in it. Any other boys for the summer that you've loved?
Yeah, Martin Boyle, but he's Australian. But you can probably tempt him back, get a campaign started.
Well, thanks for tuning into This Is My Story podcast. I'm off.
But to be honest with you, the worst part of Sunday was when John Souttar went down and needed treatment. I was like, oh no, please, not today. So him having another couple of weeks off where he can recover and rest or whatever and work on his own fitness and all that sort of stuff at Hearts, for me, as much from a personal point of view, he deserves to be on the international stage or whatever. I'm happy that he's not there, to be honest. Keep him in Cottonville. Kev?
Just to effectively carry on with what you said, and that's why we probably need a defender. So if anybody wants to drive to Bristol to pick this boy up and bring him up the road, I think we can maybe do a wee fundraiser just to pay for the petrol.
Right. And then we'll end it with the headlines there. Is obviously we'll discuss the actual football, but Sunday in and around Gorgie, in pubs, in the stadium, atmosphere, full house, blah blah. How was it for you, Ando?
I loved it, and I'm going to let fame go to my head here for a wee minute here. Kev and I were walking down the street to come and meet you guys, and got stopped at random by some boy, big tall guy. I didn't catch her name, sorry. Recognised my voice, turned round when I was having a private conversation with Kev, but we'll gloss over that. That was a wee bit of a moment. I thought, oh God, I'm going to have to square go a guy here, and we're not even into the fit boy yet. This is ridiculous. But then, who was it? Who was the boy we met? Graham. I can't remember his surname, and I wanted to give him a nod as well. For joining us for a couple of pints, but and also not buying around. So don't worry, that's not been forgotten. So you're definitely due us around, Graham. So your card's marked, son. But yeah, the overall getting into the ground, loved it. I even loved the fact that Shanks bought me a pie at halftime. Wouldn't he take the money for it? The atmosphere I thought was all right. There was bits where I was expecting maybe a cup final atmosphere, and I think I said to you guys in the group chat as well that the atmosphere at the start of the game is brilliant. It really petered off at some points throughout the game, and I really thought that we'd be able to sort of like push the wave all the way through the game, just because it was the first game back in 18 months or whatever. But so that disappointed me a wee bit, but the result itself we'll cover. But overall, a good day out.
I think the players have to take a bit of the thing that it's a two-way street. We can only give them so much. They have to give us something to react to, and I think the atmosphere reflected basically what was happening on the park, which was kind of stop-start. Kev, what was your overall thought of having fans back in?
Well, see, that's the first game I've been at. I didn't get any of the tickets for the League Cup matches or the Celtic game. So that was the first game I'd been at since Easter Road back in what was March of 2019. 2019? 2020?
No one cares, Kev. You have to be pedantic. Move on. Keep a diary like Shanks if you want to get pedantic.
So from that point of view, So from that point of view, it was just great to be back inside the ground. I didn't get a pie. Was the curry shed open, Tam?
It wasn't. It was closed. I was
Okay.
I was going to ask.
I'm in the opposite stand, so I don't know.
I was going to
in
ask
that case-
Shanks to buy me a booner, just for a laugh, but no, it was closed.
I may be
The-
20 rows behind you, but I would have came down and slapped your head.
Tam, what about? Did you get one? Did you get an alcohol-free beer from that bar? Was that open in your stand?
That actually wasn't open. No, because I'm right beside that. I did actually just have a wee look to see if it was open, but hopefully it's just went out of business or something because it's embarrassing.
You can sit next to each other, sing and stand, but they didn't open like all the bits inside the stadium for COVID reasons or whatever. It's like, what are you
Don't
doing?
understand that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't get COVID standing in the pie queue, but you might get it standing in the curry queue. That doesn't make any sense. But I'm glad to see the back of the curry shed. And then Tam, what was your overall experience?
I just thought it was class compared to the games I went to where it was 5,000, 4,000, whatever. It was just great to see the streets busy and that. Obviously, once that we got in and the football killed any atmosphere that was there. But if we look at that 26th minute, we can just, that was amazing. And it would have been nice to see a performance to honour what the fans had done or what Zal had done there. But we didn't see that as well, to be fair.
Aye, I think it highlights the need for the club need to engage with the young guys in terms of the ultras and the singing section and all that sort of stuff, because I thought Aberdeen, their away crowd was decent. It was pretty vocal. Didn't they stop? Again, don't want to be that guy that's saying that just because they had a drum meant that they sang for longer, but they did. And Hearts have got like 4 songs, and we just regurgitate them and try them over and over and over again. I sang the Hearts song about 55 times on Sunday. We sang When We Go Marching In, Since I Was Young, the Europe song, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? There's literally nothing else, and it's like people need to get creative. We've had good songs with the Ollie Lee song, we've had Kyle Lafferty songs and all that sort of stuff. Make songs about Robbo or Cahoon or make a song that catches on for a player that leaves in 6 months. It's like it just kills the songbook. Like have songs for heroes that are around and all that sort of stuff. And we need a better song for Zaliukas than Mary Zaliukas, because it's like, yeah, it's nice, and I know he liked it when he was hearing that, but he can get a better song than that. We can do better. We can do better than that song. But I thought it was great, like you said, walking just around and about Gorgie, seeing people having a bevy, seeing people in the park chilling and having a laugh with their mates, and in the pub we use and that, and talking to everybody. It was great getting into the stadium, getting a flag out, getting a twirly, getting a sing song with your pals and that, having a good moan. I felt less stressed out about Hearts than I have done for about 2 years, because do you know what I mean? As soon as you're out that turnstile, you moan to your pals and you talk to whoever you're with, get to the car, and then that's it. You don't care anymore. You just get back on with your life, like, do you know what I mean? Because that's what it is. Whereas before, sitting in the house pure stewing and getting raging or that, you just leave all that baggage at the door. Kev, were you going to say something?
I just wanted to check in regards to songs. Is this you just getting a little bit bitter because your Benny song didn't actually take off?
I was waiting for a better game to start it.
Right, okay.
I was waiting
Is
for
it-
a better.
An away match. Away matches are always good to
That's
start
where
these
they
kind of
start.
things.
You start them at away matches and we build up. It wasn't the day for it.
It's fine. I just wanted to check, mate. I just wanted to check in, see how that was going.
They unfurled my flag and did the twirly that I demanded. So I was like, I'll just lower my expectations as to what I expect for the rest of the crowd. If they can, I'll put some pressure on them for the next home game. But
Can I
did
ask a
think it was
question? Did you do the twirl?
good. Yes. Aye, I was right in there, mate. 2 scarves.
Shut off and everything.
Aye, Corbett 2 scarves, mate. I absolutely loved it. I was choreographing the singing. I was getting everybody to sing in time.
He was helicoptering. That's what he was doing.
Aye. That's why no one's seen it. That's why no one's seen it. But I think, like we said, we talked about there. I thought for 5 minutes into the match, the atmosphere was brilliant. But again, the performance on the park, it just sucked the life out of it for me. To be honest, we couldn't handle we'll talk about Aberdeen in a second. Our game plan, I just couldn't explain to you what we're trying to do. And when you think, right, we spoke to Josh Gianelli on last Tuesday, talked about how much he knew about the fans were going to be rocking and all that. I was expecting getting him, putting the ball over defenders' heads into space, getting Mackay-Steven to chase it, get them to take their player on man to man, try to get to the byline, crosses in, and we seen none of that. Absolutely none of it. There was no desire to kind of get past your man and get the crowd up and engaged and all that sort of stuff. We sucked the life out of the crowd, to be honest, with the way we played football. And I think back to things like George Burley. I know we say that, but you talk about the George Burley starts or whatever. Hearts never played any football after 40 minutes under George Burley. But we already had the game won. I mean, the fans were knackered, players were knackered, because for 40 minutes we were all over teams. The atmosphere was electric, and then we ran out of steam, but we already had built up a big enough cushion. Our game plan on Sunday felt like grow into the game, take the emotion out of the match, let the crowd, do you know what I mean, keep the crowd on side, let them settle in, and then we'll start playing our game. And that is not what that game needed on Sunday. We needed frantic football, get in about it, high energy, get the crowd proper buzzing. And we got none of that, which I found dead hard to then. How do you keep the crowd engaged? How do you keep songs going? How do you keep fans wanting to sing? Because the life was just sucked away on the park. Ando.
The bit that really, where we fell down, is there was, if you look at the stats for the game, see if you take away Boyce's penalty, right? Does anyone want to guess how many shots we had on target?
One, I think it was Josh Gianelli.
We had one shot on target, right? And out of the total amount of shots created, we had 6, right? So there was chances created, but our just lackluster performance in front of goal was disappointing. And this is where it harks back to the problems that we seen last season. And I don't know how many times I said this on the podcast last year. You had possession without any sort of real end product. So is it a possession without penetration or whatever it was I used to say, some shit like that. But
you love the penetration.
I like that word. It's a good one. Good one to slip in there. But it's nice. Excuse me. Kev's just distracted me. Don't worry, I'll cut that bit. The possession without penetration, and that was the bit where it really, really fell down. And also the hoof ball over the top from the back. I just get so fed up with that. But I understand why they resort to doing that if the game plan, as Corbett touched on, just doesn't seem to work. Or they don't even know what the game plan is.
No, so it was hard. I thought that the club, we definitely need to do something as a club to engage with the fan base. And I'm going to make my last point about Sunday, and it is aimed at the club, but £34 for a ticket is a disgrace.
What?
I said, exactly. I said on the build up to all this sort of stuff, and we've spoke about it here, we have been shut out of Tynecastle for 18 months to 2 years or whatever it is. The club had a duty to engage with the fan base. We will never have a better opportunity to engage with fans, get fans back involved, take big numbers to away games, get big numbers inside Tynecastle. The way not to do that is to charge an obscene amount of money. Why could the club have not said, everybody that's bought a season ticket, great. Everybody that's got loyalty points but hasn't bought a season ticket, as a thank you to you for buying our shitey streams at Queen of the South, our shitey tops and merch and all this sort of stuff that has kept the club alive during COVID. For everybody that's got loyalty points, you can have a ticket for the game for a tenner. For everybody else that doesn't have ticket loyalty points, if we didn't sell out the tickets then, we'll go to general sale and it'll be £15 a ticket. Yeah. Fill the place. Get the place rammed. Instead, we thought, do you know what? Let's try and make as much money as we possibly can from the fan base that already buys huge numbers of tops, the streams, donations to the Foundation of Hearts. We've already kept the club afloat for 10 years now. We've give money and put money in our pocket, and to turn round and say, please come and support us, but also give us £34 for a ticket in the Rosebund end? No, that's not that's not acceptable. No for me anyway.
I agree.
The club, we need to get need to get round the table, and we have an opportunity to get fans on side and make Tynecastle full for every home game this season, and that's not the way to do it. So we need.
I'm fine with charging the away fans £34 a ticket, because you know that like yourself, if you've got a limited amount of tickets to go to Aberdeen away and you had an opportunity to go, you would pay whatever it cost. Charge them over the odds. Don't charge your loyal fan base. That's shit.
I just don't think £34 for a ticket at any league is acceptable, but especially
Aberdeen class is that a category B match?
I don't know. I don't know what the category is, but for that, I just don't think that's right. I don't think it sets the right message for the football club, and I hope the football club take note and do something about it. So that moves us on to the actual game, the game on the field. Obviously, we didn't do live reaction on Sunday because we were actually at it. So I suppose I know the club stance is a 1-1 draw against what has been historically the best side outside the Old Firm in the past 10 years on paper. Looks like a good result, and that's part of my frustration, is that I know that the club is probably patting itself in the back getting a draw against Aberdeen, but this isn't the Aberdeen side that was at its peak powers under Derek McInnes. This is the Aberdeen side that it was playing in wherever they were playing against Karabag or whatever it was it Azerbaijan?
Aye.
On Thursday night. So they would have travelled late home Thursday night. They wouldn't have trained Friday. They did a light session on Saturday, and come the end of the 90 minutes on Sunday, they looked fresher than us, who had 10 days and a full pre-season, no European football. That Aberdeen side lost to Raith Rovers the week before it, and again, that's where my big frustration lies, is that we will be spoon-fed that that's a good result for us because we've got 7 from 9 and we've had a good start or whatever. But Sunday for me it felt like a defeat. It was an absolute kick in the teeth. And I'll give you my reasons why, and then I'll dive to yours, right? As Kev alluded to, the last time I was in Tynecastle with a capacity crowd was to watch Hearts come back for 2-0 down to get a draw with Hamilton, 2 each, right? And I left that game massively frustrated. But I was massively frustrated because the players, manager down, the players couldn't carry out basic instructions, do exactly what the manager wanted to do. I could tell you the shape, the tactics, how he wanted to play, the style he wanted to play, the identity in which he wanted to play, and you could see that in flashes it was working. He just didn't have the personnel. The Sunday, we have the personnel, we've got the players, but I couldn't tell you what we're trying to do. I have absolutely no idea what the tactics are other than keep the ball, possession, possession, possession. How many times did we get a throw in on Sunday and we threw it back to our own goal? How many times did we play pass into Ginnelly, Gary Mackay-Stevens, and they were facing Craig Gordon? How many times did we win a free kick 25 yards into their half and it actually ended up back at Craig Gordon? Because we were... how many times did Craig Gordon run to the edge of his box to start a quick move and there was nobody there? We were actually... I was apoplectic, rage, with 5 minutes injury time announced. Craig Gordon comes, collects a cross, runs to the edge of his box to throw it. John Souttar and Halkett are both gone. Just calm down. Stop. No. What the fuck? Stop for fucking what? It's 1-1 at home to Aberdeen. This is not a good result. Get up the park. Go score. Urgency. And that, for me, that was what really, really annoyed me on Sunday. We could have drew 1-1 with Aberdeen and they played great and we just got hit with sucker punches or whatever and I'd have taken it. But it was the fact that after we scored, why are we dropping so deep?
Yeah.
Why we dropped so deep? Why have we done that? Why have we stopped? Why have we not reacted to the fact that the Jet is absolutely battering Cochrane and we've got a mismatch out there? You get Cochrane at 4 foot and him at 8 foot and they were just punting balls to him all game and he absolutely run them ragged and we didn't do anything about it. We didn't do anything. And don't get me wrong, yeah, he'll blame the bench and say that we didn't have options, but there were plenty of options. We could have, the sub should have came after the first goal because the warning signs were there. We didn't start the second half well at all. got the goal. To be honest, yeah, you probably say it's a penalty, but it's very soft. I'd be furious if Aberdeen got that penalty. And you think, right, well, the subs need to come then, like the changes need to come then. We had Jamie Walker, we had Aaron McNeff on the bench. We've got Ewan Henderson as well, who's a striker. We could have switched it. We could have did something. You could have taken Gary Mackay-Steven and Josh Ginnelly off, and it wouldn't have impacted the game because neither of the two of them were doing anything. Do you know what I mean? When you have two wingers that are tricky, fast, and every single time they get the ball, they come inside. And that's coached. They're inverted wingers. They're told to come in onto their strong feet every single time they get the ball. That is so predictable and so easy to defend against. And it's even easier to defend against when you have Mikey Smith and Cochrane on the other side, or Andy Halliday, and none of them overlap. How many times did you see Mikey Smith get past Josh Ginnelly to the byline for a cross? How many times did you see Andy Halliday past Gary Mackay-Steven to get a cross into the box? Didn't happen. They were putting crosses in for 30 yards out and hitting the first man. John, it was when you've got Peter Haring having to run into the box and trying to set players up. You think that's your defensive midfielder trying to force play in the opposition's box. I just felt it was absolute lackluster from start to finish and really took the whole emotion of the game out of it when I think we should have rid that emotion and went for it. Tam, what was your thoughts?
You pretty much summed it up well there with what I was thinking. Well, what I was going to say, to be honest, I think Ando touched on it earlier. See with I felt so bad for Boyce on Sunday there. He was having to deal with absolutely everything because he was getting no support. The ball was getting punted up to him. Declan Gallagher and Ross McCrory were just lapping that up every second that he was running about, trying his hardest to get something started. When, to be honest with you, the ball should have been going out wide, using the pace of these wingers and actually using them. You say like JMS and Ginnelly didn't do much, but there were so many opportunities where the ball could have just been played to them quickly and to start a quick attack. And it just doesn't happen, and it's just so slow and like pedestrian, and it is annoying. And hopefully the two boys coming in will change that, but it does come down to tactics at the end of the day, as you say. And who knows what will happen? To be fair,
again, and I'll come to you in a wee second. I don't see how change it unless we have a radical change. The result we got on Sunday, for me, is Robbie Nielsen take that all day long. If we could sit down before a ball's kicked and he could say to Jack Ross, Stephen Glass, Stephen Gerrard, Ange Postecoglou, Callum Davidson, what, I take a draw? Aye, signed. Shake your hand, take a draw. He'd take that because that's the Craig Levein philosophy. It's the Hearts philosophy now. It's as much as I'm going to stick up for him here on this point. We need to get over this Craig Levein thing. This is now a Hearts philosophy. It's a club philosophy. If you don't get beat, then we'll never be in the situation that we were, sitting bottom of the league or whatever it was. And that, for me, simply isn't good enough for our football club. And again, we were talking to Ewan Murray on Twitter about it the other day. It's almost like the club spoon feed these excuses. You know, he was saying, "Oh, but we're going to get players in," and that's fine. The transfer window's been open for 2 months. We're 3 games into the new season. We shouldn't still be sitting here saying we're waiting on players coming in. We've had plenty of time to address this, and we've dragged our feet. So that's not an excuse. Ando.
Well, just to follow up on what you've said immediately there, before I get on to my point, it's almost a case of settling for mediocrity. So going to clubs and saying, we'll take the draw, fuck that. That's not good enough. That's settling for mediocrity, and we shouldn't be doing that. Tam, to your point about the quick pass, when it's on, that I've got written down here just in my summary. That was a big part of where we went wrong on Sunday. It's everything, right? See, when you sum it all up, the basics of the football are okay. It's the final 5% that we always get let down on, right? So that whole point about not releasing the player when the pass is on and going for it. You've got Liam Boyce. Now, I think I made a comment in the group chat when I was still raging, saying Boyce has no pace, he's this, that, and the other. Sorry, Boyce, I know we're pals now. I wasn't having a go at you, but the point being that he's running about trying to do absolutely everything, and it makes it look as though he's got no pace. Then you've got loads of tackles being won, interceptions, and then the resulting pass, the completion accuracy on it is just shit. It's way, way, way off the mark. And it's that final 5% that stops us from being a brilliant team compared to a bang average team.
Do you know, the big problem that we have, right, is modern football is stats based, right? Now, this is maybe one for Maroon Report, who's pretty brilliant with all this stuff on Twitter. I guarantee you Hearts stats on Monday when they came in to debrief after Aberdeen were amazing. Pass completion, individual duels, tackles won. It'll be absolutely brilliant. But the things are, there'll be no one-on-ones. There'll be no dribbles past this thing. There'll be no touches in the opposition box because we take the safe option every single time. We get a pass, like you said, Gordon rushes out, throws it into Halliday. Halliday takes that nice touch where you let it come across your body, but your touch takes it back towards Craig Gordon. He passes it into Suter. Suter takes the same touch, passes it quickly into Halkett. Halkett then passes it to Cochrane, and Cochrane passes it into Boyce, and Boyce puts it back to Cochrane, and Cochrane puts it back to Halkett, and you've went nowhere. You've made 5 passes, you've not missed a pass, so your stats look great. You've actually not went anywhere. You've just came back. And 9 times out of 10, that ball from right back to left back could have been one pass. It could have missed the 2 centre-backs out. But it doesn't. By the time they make that pass, Suter has to take a touch, pass. Halkett has to take a touch, pass. And it sucks the life out of any opportunity to quick break or whatever, and it looked like we did set up to counter-attack at points on Saturday, and I'm thinking, we're at home. We're at home to a side that, for me, we are historically better at. Even Craig Levein managed, you look at our home record, I think Amador will let it run, put the stats up about how good our home record is against Aberdeen in the past 9 years. We've won hundreds of games against them. And again, I don't know what it was. It just looked fine. And to touch just finally before I come to you, Kev, about a point that Ando made there is something that the people that are saying, oh, you just don't like Robbie Nielsen or whatever is, you can play to settle for a draw. That's fine. Do you know what I mean? If we are at Aberdeen and we're 1-0 up, or we're 1-1 and we're down to 10 men, or we're just miles off it and they're battering us, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? Shut up, take. But they show up in the first 45 minutes. They didn't show up until we scored, and then we were hanging on at the end because we didn't look fit. And that baffles me. I think, why are we settling for a draw here? Because they only caused any bother. I think they scored with their only shot on target. Well, 2 shots on target actually, because Craig Gordon made the save, didn't he? And then a couple of scrolls across the ground that he managed to smother or whatever. But they weren't battering us pillar to post. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Kev, what were you going to say there? Oh, sorry, Ando.
No, well, I was just going to say, I've got the stats in front of me. So if you look at just on, forget Boyce's penalty for a minute, because that does go down as a shot on target. But remove that, we were 1 shot on target out of 6. Aberdeen were 4 out of 6. So there you go. Their accuracy is what, 67%. I don't know what 1/6 is, whatever that is. But the point being is they had just 1 shot less. But they got a far higher percentage, 4 times as many on target than we did, and that's shite if we were playing at home.
And even if you dissect their goal is everything that I don't see from Hearts. You know, they had good wing play, beat their man, got to the byline, drilled the ball across. We don't defend it well. They return over possession and fire in the exact same ball, and they tap it in at the front post. They're all the things that you're missing. There was times in the first half I was screaming because we were down at the byline with an opportunity to put the ball in the box, and there's no one in the box. There's no one there because it's Boyce that's on the byline looking to put a cross in.
The annoying thing about that was that they weren't even playing with wide players. A striker who can't run playing wide, and a boy who just came on. It made no sense. We had wide players and we didn't even do it.
Kev, what were you going to say?
So that was my issue. My issue is the fact that what you mentioned earlier on about Benny wants to move it on. That's fine. Haring also wants to win the ball. but he wants to move it on. There was nobody making that run again from the midfield. So our 3-4-3 as we are trying to play at this moment in time, when you have two sitting midfielders, nobody moving beyond that particular position, you're always going to get stuck. You're always going to get stuck with that because there's nobody, as you rightly say again, you take Kingsley out of the equation and all of a sudden Cochrane doesn't want to go past Gino. Smith, I think Smith is maybe getting to a point where does he have the engine to actually get past GMS or Gino, whichever way, because they did swap that over in the first half. They did do that little quick swap. It was about 5 minutes. Usually, what is it, 27 minutes in? 28 minutes in, and that's where we make that change. You know, it's also predictable. And if we're seeing it by watching games on TV, then you know perfectly well that the guy for Aberdeen, for Celtic, for Dundee United, or for wherever, he's done exactly the same. He's done exactly the same thing. He's watched that game and he knows at 27 minutes, 28 minutes, they're going to make this swap. Be aware of it. I'd be more inclined to see Benny and McAneff in that middle position and give McAneff the opportunity to be that box-to-box midfielder, even if it's only for the Dundee United game this weekend.
The problem that we have, right, is, and this is where folk are going to be like, oh, fucking hell, typical Corey here. We're not playing 3-4-3. We're playing 5-4-1. All right, that's what we're playing. We're not playing 3-4-3. We're playing 5 at the back, playing 4 in midfield. We're playing 1 up front. Is what we're doing. Yes, Gary Mackay-Steven and Ginnelly are asked to stay wider, but they're inverted to come inside anyway. So you know we're playing basically 5-4-1, hoping when we counter and counter fast that it can be 3-4-3, but it's not. In reality, that's not what's happening. And again, to touch on the point that we spoke about before, and you just said it there, Kev, when Alloa, Arbroath, Queen of the South, Rafe Rovers, whoever it was, say, let Halkett and Smith and Suter and whoever at the back have the ball, let them have it. They're getting no damage whatsoever. And press when they start to pass into the midfield. And that's what teams do. They let it. There's pressure on the ball when Halkett and Suter and whoever have the ball at Hearts not going to do anything. All we have to do, wait for the ball inside to a midfielder, whether it be Benny, Haring, Halliday, or whoever, press, and they'll put it straight back to Suter and Halkett, and they've went nowhere. And that's so easy to defend against. That's so easy. It lets teams get back into shape. It lets teams get back into their formation. Any overloads, any quick counters that you have, they're gone because we play free passes and we let the side that we're playing against get back into shape and face us and start to be able to ask us the questions, because everything we do is facing Craig Gordon. Everything. I would love, Maroon Report, if you're watching, please do a stat thing, touches facing Craig Gordon. I would love to know how many touches we take in a game, how many of them are taken facing Craig Gordon, because I can guarantee you it'll be 70 to 75% of our touches, because it's constant. It is absolutely constant. So the positives for Sunday, because I did think we played pretty well in stages in the first half. We flattered to deceive that we were actually going to burst into life at points. I thought Benny was superb. I actually thought Haring had a very good game, but Haring again has a bigger issue, or a bigger problem, is that it's starting to look a bit like what it looked like with Naismith, is that the brain is telling the body what to do, but the body can't do what the brain wants it to do. But I think it can't be ignored that Scott Brown dominated that match for Aberdeen. Every single thing Aberdeen did in the game went through Scott Brown, and I think that Haring and Benny managed that pretty well. Lewis Ferguson's a really good player. I thought he was pretty anonymous on Sunday. I thought that like we said, I thought Benny, what I liked the most about Benny, I put it on Twitter, was that he didn't seem to care that it was Scott Brown. He wasn't bothered. If he knew that he was going in for a 50-50 with Scott Brown, he went in for it. If he knew that he was going to be chasing down Scott Brown, he chased him down. Whereas I felt that you've seen a noticeable difference when it was Haring chasing Scott Brown down, or when it was Gary Mackay-Steven having to run towards Scott Brown, or Halliday. They're sucked into this Bruni, I walk about with my t-shirt off because it's freezing. They're shitting themselves to go near him, and I didn't like that on Sunday. That's what I liked the most about Benny, is he just got stuck in, won the ball back and passed it, and I think, like we talked about it before, I think he'll make his millions. And I thought Halkett and Suter, to be honest with you, I thought had pretty good games, and that was about it in terms of people that I thought impacted the game well. Ando, what were you going to say something?
It was just to validate the point that I'd made in the groupie on Sunday. Is like obviously you said that Haring had a good game. I thought he looked frenzied, and I'm not looking for an argument here. I'm just saying that I see his long passes from back to front only made 50% of them accurate. I checked this out earlier on. I think he looked frenzied, he looked rushed, and I know, obviously, defensive midfielder, it shouldn't have really fallen to him to be that kind of guy, and all the stuff that he was doing up the top end of the park is kind of probably not properly within his role. So I think, yes, he gets points for going over and above, but I think when he was called upon to do things, he didn't do them particularly well. So that's the only balance that I would offer at that point. But Benny, that fucking hell, absolutely brilliant. I thought from start to finish.
The counter to that is though, and that's fine with the stuff you're saying about Haring, is then you think, right, well, if Haring wasn't playing in there, and given the influence that Scott Brown actually had in the game, can you imagine if it was Halliday that was in there, would they have had the impact that Haring had in terms of managing to at least control Scott Brown? Because Aberdeen played everything through Scott Brown. Everything. At points, Scott Brown was playing as a sweeper. He split the two centre-backs and was dropping deep and picking up every single ball, if you know what I mean. And it was good that Benny and Haring basically followed him around. And it's that thing where I just couldn't look at Halliday get brushed off the ball in that body check that's getting kicked about. You look at the fact that Gary Mackay-Steven just had to even look or turn in the direction of Scott Brown, and he shot out of challenges and ran the other way type thing. So I just think you can tell, like what was like with Stephen Naismith, you can tell that Haring used to be a good player. Do you know what I mean? And he's maybe just a yard short of where he used to be.
Yep. And I totally agree with what you're saying about Scott Brown being all over the park, because Shanks, and he's probably got this written down in his wee train spotter notebook, because I caught him at half time writing notes in his iPhone for what to speak about on the pod this week. That actually is a thing. But he did ask me in the early part of Sunday's game, is that why is Scott Brown playing as part of a back four? I'm like, he isn't, but he's just all over the place sweeping up, exactly to the point you've just made. So yeah, that's fair enough.
Tam, did you have any other thoughts about the game Sunday?
I suppose if we're on the positives, I agree with you. The two centre halves were solid. Craig Gordon had barely anything to do, to be fair. And then, yeah, I thought Haring was great in bits. Like, there was certainly bits he could improve on. But to be honest with you, it's just nothing else. It's I would just be negative, and we'll try and stay a wee bit more positive at this part of the podcast.
Yeah. I love it. I'm loving this.
We touched on it there, but you bring Aaron McInnes on and ask him to play left wing.
Yeah.
But what's that all about? Do you know what I mean? What's it? That's just a body on the park looking to not lose the match. That's all that is. Go cover a space. Go cover a thing. We try and do a shift for us. We did change shape. We officially went 5-4-1 or whatever, or we went 4-3-2-1 at one stage as well, didn't we? But we should be making changes to go, and like we've talked about before, stop worrying about what other teams do. Worry about what we do. Go impose our game onto a team, and I didn't think we did that at any point on Sunday, and that was the biggest disappointment for me.
I don't really even understand the change of shape. Like, I know we've changed the shape, but we've changed it to Aberdeen's favour there. Like, right. We brought Walker on. I couldn't even tell you what role Walker was playing, really, to be honest with you. Nielsen had no idea what to do with him, and that's pretty much it now. And then to bring McInnes on and not actually have him in the central role to try and stretch the game, which we could all see. We've all said that we need somebody to stretch the game, get a bit of forward pass and a forward movement, and we didn't even put him in his right position. It just doesn't make sense.
He brought Walker on to react. If you look at the subs bench, we only named 6 subs on Sunday. And what, he allowed 7, or maybe is it 9? I don't know what the rules are. Just
7,
7. We only named 6, right? And so you look at the subs that didn't come on. So Cheesy, the fucking way he's coming on, obviously. Then Connor Smith and Aidan Denham, like, just for the sake of changing it, I think you're right. He's put him on and just thought, fuck it, it's Jamie Walker. I've rolled this dice a few times now where he's come on as a super sub and got us out a hole. I think I think is just as simple as it needs to be. He's looked at that and thought, aye, he can get us a goal, get us out of jail, sort of thing.
Aye, it was. We would need to be better than that. Again, the positives are that you were still undefeated, 7 points, joint top of the league or whatever. But again, my big worry for the season is that we would accept. I think we'll accept that as a club, that performance against a select group of teams in the league before a ball's kicked, and that worries me because we need to have more ambition than that.
Yeah.
And then last, we will end this bit before we talk about Dundee United and what we'd like to see changing is the word from our sponsor, Andy of Bike Speed fame. He messaged me after Josh Ginnelly, said that we're all happy clappers and that he's sick of how positive we are about Hearts because this team is overrated, the manager is terrible, and that Hearts will get no better than a 1-1 draw on Sunday against Aberdeen. And he ended up, he was right. He was absolutely right. So well done, Andy. You can get a pat in the back. You can get a pat in the back for that.
Andy, I'm going to throw you a challenge. So obviously you're paying for this operation just now. And you don't have to come on in a sheepskin jacket or anything like that, but you fancy coming on and just being negative? Dunno.
He's a shite bag, you know that.
Nah,
he's a shite bag. He
definitely won't,
He won't do it. Nah, it's we are, so he'll collapse. Right, so we've put the world to right because we're all football managers and we know better than a man that's in the actual job, apparently. What you want to change? What are you changing for Saturday? Tam, I'll start with you. Dundee United away, Tynecastle. What would you like to see?
I've actually been trying to think about this question all day, and I've wrote like loads of different formations and that. But honestly, I want to see Woodburn play. To be honest with you, I'd put him straight in because he's fit enough. He's been playing with Liverpool. I just don't know where you put him. So,
well, that would be my question. Out of the starting 11 that played on Sunday, if you had to sub one of them off, who are you taking off in favour of him?
Probably GMS, to be honest with you. I'll put it straight out there.
Okay.
And I'm a big fan of GMS this season. From what I've seen, he's been decent, but on Sunday there he was pretty ineffective. And I think it did have a fact that he was absolutely shiting himself for Scott Brown in a way, which put it down to that, to be fair. But you're not going to change any of that back five unless you change the shape. Middle two is going to stay the same unless Devlin comes in. Kingsley, is he going to come back in? I don't know what's wrong with him. Still ill or something, is it?
Don't know.
I think it said on the pre-match thing he had an illness, so
yeah.
Don't know. He's probably just the shits or something like that, so he'll be fine.
Yeah, I'd probably put him in. I'd as much as I'd said it previously, I like Halliday at left wing back better than I do in the centre, but I think I would put him in for probably Haring on Sunday. Swap that around, and then if Kingsley's back, Cochrane left wing back. So I've pretty much said nothing.
Yeah, I know.
For 3 minutes.
You've done well though, and the positive is you never went for a pee during it, so everybody's a winner. What's your prediction then? What's your score prediction for Sunday or Saturday, whatever day it is we're playing?
See, you said Aberdeen last week. You can't decide if they. What did you say? You can't decide if they're good or no.
Aye.
Dundee United are about the same, aren't they?
Like, well, a point behind us, aren't they? Lost 1-2.
Yeah, so 3-0 Hearts. No.
Fucking hell, go on.
I'm actually just going with it. 3-0 Hearts. Go for it. Reaction.
Might as well be 6-0, Tam.
When was the last time we played at Tannadice?
Years ago.
Actually,
no, they've been in the Vida League for too long, haven't they?
Yeah.
Been a while.
Right,
Kev. Got a shite record there anyway, to be fair.
So my change would be GMS and Haring to be dropped. It all depends, of course, if Kingsley's fit and able to play on Saturday. If he's not, then I change Haring for McAneff to give him that opportunity to actually be the box-to-box striker, and I drop GMS for the new boy.
He's a midfielder, but it's fine. I get what you mean.
Box-to-box striker's a new role. Like I'm up.
That's a good one. Come up with that. Kev, so what's your prediction for Saturday then?
If we make those particular changes, I am going to be bold and go 0-1.
Nice. Okay. Who's scoring for Hearts?
I'm going to give it to the new guy. I'm going to give it to Ben.
Okay. Ando, what's your thoughts for Saturday?
I don't want to change the team because I don't know how fit the new guy is. Obviously, if it turns out that he is proper fit, and it's something I'll never know, then fine, play him. I'd maybe take Haring out and put him in, roll the dice, fuck it, why not? But failing that, play the same team we played, and the only thing I would change is, you know what, just hit the fucking target. We had so much good possession in the first half. We had absolute chances to dispatch Aberdeen in the first 45 minutes and never took it. What I would change is the player's application, and that's not something that's tangible that you can actually just turn a dial on, but that's the thing I would change, as wanky as that might sound. My prediction is Dundee United 2, Hearts 1. I will get beat on Saturday.
Okay. Well, like you said, you can only change the player's output and attitude if we think that it was a bad result. They don't. We got a pat in the back for Sunday. There won't be any rollicking after the display on Sunday. Manager said we were sensational for the first 45 minutes against a very good physical Aberdeen side, is what he said. So there'll be no retribution on a Monday morning. There'll be no changing of we need to do this better or that better. They'll probably just said, well, we were unlucky, played against a very good team, keep going. So for Saturday, I actually think, and this is synonymous with a problem that we've had at the club for a long, long time, and I'm hoping that my hope of hopes for this is that it's not noticed by Savage. Robbie Nielsen has spoke at length about how we've changed shape to 3-4-3 and how it worked for us and all that sort of stuff, but he's recruited for a formation that doesn't fit 3-4-3. Ben Woodburn, who's replacing Josh Ginnelly that we've just signed, is replacing Gary Mackay-Steven, who's signed on a 3-year deal. He's not replacing Liam Boyce. So you play 3-4-3, you can only play 3 up front. So we've recruited Ben Woodward to play in what will be a change formation. We will absolutely play 4-2-3-1 to suit, because that's how you get those 4 players at the forward parts of the park. He's brought Benny in to break up play, and we've brought Devlin in to be that other midfielder that can sit almost in a diamond, one at the bottom of it, one at the top, and basically Benny gives him the ball and he goes forward with it. We will play 4-2-3-1, whether it's this Saturday or whether it's the derby. That'll be the formation, because that's what we've recruited to. So my changes will be, if that happens, will be Cochrane drops out for me for Kingsley. Kingsley plays left back. Suter and Halkett centre backs. Mikey Smith is our proper right back. I think it'll be Benny and either Halliday or Haring sitting, and I think it'll be Ginnelly, it'll be Boyce, it'll be Gary Mackay-Steven, and they will play Woodburn through the middle as a striker, would be my prediction.
And the pennies just dropped for me there. For anybody who's watching on YouTube, I had my head in my hands there and looking a bit stressed, because what you've just said there, everything's all just come together. It's exactly what we've said in previous pods that we didn't want to happen, reverting to that shit. And yeah, you're right. You've called it absolutely correct. If that isn't the way things go on Saturday, then I'll pay everyone that listens a tenner.
And
I actually don't have an issue with 4-2-3-1. It's just the way we play it. Like those players suit it.
Yeah, if it works and it's balanced, then yeah, no one's got a problem with it.
But it won't work.
But the problem is, it's the overall problem of Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola. They're not recruiting to change the formation. They recruit to the formation because they play the same way, the same philosophy, the same style, the same everything, constant. So the Rangers, so does Ange Postecoglou, even though he was getting absolutely battered and slaughtered for losing matches. He's never stopped the philosophy, never stopped the way he wants. All of pre-season, all of the last 10 games of that season or whatever it was, into this season, and now we're recruiting players to play in a formation that we don't physically have the bodies to play it. So we will change formation at one point with the people that are coming in. So again, I'm with you, Tim. If it works, great. You know, if it's balanced, I have no problem with 4-2-3-1 either. Loads of teams play it, but it's how you play it, it's how you adapt it, it's how you go, because it is basically 4-5-1 rather than 5-4-1. But we'll wait and see. also in the Ando camp. I don't think we'll play well. I don't think we'll win. I think it'll be 2-1 to Dundee United as well. That would be my prediction. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully, like I said, new guys coming in. My big thing, if we could do anything, is something has to change with Giannelli and Gary McKay-Steven. Somebody has to get them going because they're wasted. Absolutely pointless having them playing inverted. It's absolutely pointless just letting them sort of just stagnate out wide and not engage them. We have to get them on the ball. We have to sort of get them in dangerous areas to make a difference for us. Would be my overall goal for Sunday. What a cheery way to end it. What an absolute cheery way to end. Tams, you're down to a 4G, you'll probably be 3G and then 2G by tomorrow as your vaccine works your way through you. You've slowly hanged. Kev, for the last 15 minutes, has looked like he's been in a coma. He's just been sitting either staring at his toes or is just sicky listening to us talk about our hearts. And Ando had his head in his hands for at least 5 minutes. What I was saying there. So,
4-2-3-1. I get the point you just made. We're moving on from it. It just strikes fear into my heart because we've never really made it work properly and effectively, have we? Anyway,
and it's been the root of all of our problems since the day we made it back up to the Premier League, because that's the formation that we constantly play.
Yep.
So never mind.
I feel like we've actually just fallen into the Tuesday podcast after getting beat by Queen of the South.
Again,
I'm actually quite proud.
Well, like I said, we built it up. I was absolute buzzing for Sunday. I thought we will win 3-0. We will be flying. It'll be superb. Like, we'll just be so up for it. They've travelled back from Mars playing against carrier bags. We will absolutely batter them, and we looked like we were the ones that had come back from Mars. We were pretty poor. Anyway.
Do you know when it all ended on Sunday?
When?
When a section of the fans sang "We Shall Not Be Moved." That was it.
Yeah,
done,
okay.
Man.
No, someone pointed out on Twitter the other day as well. It went to shit when we started singing "We Shall Not Be Moved." Kev,
What's going on with your fucking
Kev has just went pixelated. Yeah, there's the outro. Just stay where you are, Kev. Keep that going. Bye. See you next week.
See you later.
Aye. See you later.
Go get it.
Bye. God get ill.